Welcome to our Super Bowl preview edition of the In the Huddle podcast. I'm Jason La Canfora. We will chat X's and O's with our guy Baldy a little bit later in the pod, but we're starting off helping everybody get their picks in time and how to play this game. And there's obviously a million gambling options. And we have our buddy Nick Kostos from the You Better You Bet podcast joining us. And Nick, thank you. I know it is very early in Vegas. We appreciate you making some time for us. Let's just start with the spread. It's kind of weird, right? This thing opened around 2.5, very quickly got down to 1.5, stayed there for a while. And personally, I thought it might become even more of a pick 'em. Instead, we've gone back up to the Chiefs getting 2.5, depending where you shop. Anything about that surprise you?
No, I don't think anything's really surprising about it. I think it kind of, Jason, is in line with kind of how I see the game playing out. And I think it's a game that's kind of like breaking the brains of a lot of bettors, including me. It's the game out of all the potential cross matches on Championship Sunday. I think this is going to be the game that I'm most excited for. Like the matchup that I'm most excited for is this one. As far as betting goes, I would have bet the Ravens with confidence against the Lions. I would have bet the Chiefs with confidence against the Lions. And I would have bet the Niners with confidence against the Ravens and what that number was going to be. Maybe Baltimore is a small favorite in the game. This one is like, I have a bet on the game and I'll tell you what it is in a second, but it's not with a high degree of confidence. And the kind of like the content shtick that I've been doing all week, Jason, I don't know if you were a fan of the TV show Lost, but they had like this great trope in the first couple seasons before it went way off the rails. And it was like two of the main characters. One was man of science and one was man of faith. And okay. I think if you're a man of science, which I think a lot of professional bettors are, right? Which is just what is like the power rating of the game? What is my point spread of the game and take it into the market? I think it's going to lead you towards a bet on the Niners. Like San Francisco is better. San Francisco is a better team than Kansas City. Like they just are. They should be able to run the football on the Chiefs. And I don't think Kyle Shanahan, for whatever his faults may be, and I think he's a great coach, he's not going to do what Baltimore did and get discouraged early from running the football. No. Like they could go 8 for 0 the first 8 carries of the game, and they will run like another 8 consecutive times. Yeah. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but just to hammer home the point, right? And they're going to have success. Like I don't know what the Chiefs can do to stop the San Francisco run game. I think they're going to have a lot of success. So all the reports you see, Jason, from like big bets on the game, like 500 grand or more, whatever, from people with a lot of whatever. Yeah. They're all on San Francisco money line. Like, I don't know that I'm sure there are big bets on Kansas City. I haven't seen a lot of them reported. So I think that's kind of why we see the point spread up in this range and San Francisco has been bet up. But the man of faith part comes into play here, right? And I think a lot of people feel this way. It's not like every sharp bettor in the world like San Francisco. A lot of people like the Chiefs in the game, including me, because it's like the faith is that at the end of the game, I have like the greatest football player ever. Right. Like I have Mahomes. And if we want to boil it down to lowest common denominator, and it sounds like shallow analysis, except you would have like printed money doing this with the Patriots for 2 decades. Sure. You have the better coach, you have the better quarterback, and you have the better defense. So when I go to sleep on Super Bowl Sunday night, coming up in a couple days, if I win money betting on Kansas City, I'll sleep soundly. And if I lose money betting on Kansas City, I'll also sleep soundly. Yeah. I will not sleep soundly if I bet against Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes wins the game at the end. So not a high degree of confidence, Jason. I'll take the Chiefs coming up on Sunday. I hope that answered your question.
No, it did. But I mean, I think there's also a science to it. 14-3 all time in playoff games. 12-5 against the spread in his career in playoff games. Number 1 passer rating in NFL history in playoff games. A tight end who has 18 touchdown catches in 7 playoff games with Mahomes, right? And you mentioned a lot of things they do better. They also have the better special teams, and they have the better kicker, and they're used to winning in this stadium. They know this stadium inside out. They played there a ton. The only place the last 4 years that Butker has attempted more kicks than Allegiant Stadium is Arrowhead.
Yeah, right.
Like the creature comforts, right?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think you're putting a lot of faith in Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, right? That they're going to overcome all of that against Steve Spagnuolo with 2 weeks to prepare for you, and this what has been next to Baltimore the second best defense in football.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you, bud. So like we are on the same side. I would not be surprised. I don't think it would ever be like the Bucks. Is that Copper?
That's Copper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love Copper. So how's my Gary Sanchez Yankee jersey doing?
It's long gone.
I
been
I don't-
repurposed several times.
I don't think it would ever be, Jason, like Chiefs Bucks was, like in the Brady. I don't think the game would ever turn out like that.
Right.
Like Kansas City, like literally, like rebuilt its offensive line because of that game.
Right.
But if we get to the end of the game on Sunday, I'm being serious. Like I like Kansas City. This isn't a cop out. I'm always honest. I don't think anyone should be surprised if the Niners win this game by 10 points. Just saying. So, like, I like the Chiefs. My bet is on the Chiefs. I put my money where my mouth is. I think it's an extraordinarily tough Super Bowl to predict. And I'll take this a step further. Now, it's not totally true because I love to bet, so I'd find a way to, like, put money on the game, even if it's just, like, a couple bucks. If this were, like, a 1 o'clock game on a Sunday and there were, like, 11 games around it, I'd probably like 8 or 9 of the other games more than this one.
Right.
So I hope people can understand where I'm coming from. Not trying to give a cop-out answer there.
The 47.5 has not budged. The only thing
almost like the market's extremely sharp, right?
Yeah, like that number came out, and I do like Kansas City over 23.5 points. That's the only thing that I have bet in terms of totals in this game, game totals. Are you doing anything there?
I can tell you that some people that I really respect are going to play like the second half under in the game.
Right, and that's been a locked-in thing for the Chiefs.
And like I kind of conceptually like disagree with some people's assessment of how the game is going to play out. I like the over in the game a little bit. My anticipation, I think this will close 48. I think it will go up a little bit before kickoff, which is, and just so people know, that is not an indicator that like the game is going to go over just because that happens, just like what I think is going to happen in the market. I think the game's going to get loose at the end, and I think we'll see some scoring at the end of the game. So I like the over a little bit. I like the first quarter over in the game. I think like both of these offenses, couple weeks to prepare. These coaches are amazing at this, like the scripted portion of the offense. I mean, almost like how could it not go well, right? And I know like the Niners didn't have a lot of success early against Detroit. I'm willing to kind of throw the 2 weeks to prepare here. I think they'll have a better performance. And Kansas City's been a wagon. I would score touchdowns on 7 straight like opening possessions of playoff games. So that's like first quarter over for the game would be my thoughts on the total.
Gotcha. Everybody loves props, especially for the Super Bowl. We're gonna stay out of the national anthem and how long.
Well, until we get the rehearsal times, and I'll text you what they are, and we can bet them, right. And then they'll get pulled down, and then they'll get pulled down immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. While there's no data, and that's just throwing money up, licking your dollars and seeing what sticks. In terms of props that you have handicapped, are there 2 or 3 that stand out for you?
Yeah. So we'll go with something you mentioned earlier, and I agree with the train of thought. I like Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals in the game. So like Jason kind of already gave you a couple of reasons why that's a great bet. I would also add that, Kansas City at times this year, like the offense in the red zone has been pretty inefficient. So again, like that doesn't mean that this is going to be like Kansas City's going to kick 5 field goals in the game and not score a touchdown, but it's even money, like over 1.5 minus. I get both sides are minus 110. I like the Butker over 1.5 field goals. I guess I could be way wrong on all this stuff. My conceptualization, Jason, of how the game's going to play out offensively for San Francisco in terms of the skill position players, and Baldy will join you in a couple minutes here. I won't be here for it, but I talked to him yesterday on Radio Row, and I asked him this question, and I'm not trying to like spoil what he's going to say. I'll say like he thinks Brandon Ayuk can have a really good game for San Francisco. I'm of the opinion, just like me versus Baldy. I'm like, what, X's and O's. I wonder who's going to win that. I like Kittle more than I like Ayuk. And if I had to choose one of those 3 to exceed expectations, meaning Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo in the passing game, I would take Kittle. Spags is going to cook up some pressure. Kittle can be the security blanket over the middle. But where I think Debo will make his hay in this game potentially is on the ground. Like there's no game next week. And always the thing with Debo has been like he's such a good player. It's not a criticism of him. Yeah, he's a little injury prone. I think that's like fair to say at this point. Like he misses time like every season, it feels like. There's nothing to save him for now. Like this is it. It's a Super Bowl, right? And you can have this Kansas City defense on the ground. I wouldn't be shocked if Debo had like 10 carries in this game. His rushing yards prop is 16.5. I like Debo over 16.5 rushing yards.
Yeah. I played it at 13.5. I love
That's
it. If you break it, if you break it down home road, they lean into this more on the road. Kittle blocks more on the road. Debo gets more touches in the run game on the road. And if you see Kyle going to 11 personnel early in this game, Debo averages 7.1 yards per carry out of 11 personnel. I think Debo's going to be the guy who they get the ball to out of some of these sprint formations.
I hope so. That would be great.
No, I'm with you there. I think it'll be all hands on deck in the run game. Yeah, and Debo, if you look in the playoffs, he gets his hands on the ball plenty. Anything else that wets your whistle here before we let you go?
Yeah, and I'll give credit. This opinion is largely formulated by my You Better You Bet co-host Ken Barkley. I think it makes a lot of sense. And like we took a couple long shots. We may have even talked about this with you, Jason, on Countdown to Kickoff prior to the Chiefs-Bills game in the divisional round. Taking a couple long shots on Chiefs Super Bowl MVP. If the Chiefs were going to win that game against Buffalo, the prices were going to age really well and look like it wasn't like, hey, like we have the crystal ball. We know they're going to win in Buffalo and Baltimore. It's not what it was. It was taking some stabs at guys at huge numbers, hoping that they would age well, and they have. So like Pacheco, Kelsey, etc. So in the history of this award, and this could be bucked for sure. I think about the Patriots' 2 runs of 3 Super Bowls, right? So Brady won his first 3 and then went, and I think this is like something that's like people don't really think about too often. They went a decade in between after the first 3 winning the next one, right? So the first 2, Brady wins Super Bowl MVP, and the first Rams Super Bowl, and then the Panthers against the Eagles. Deion Branch wins Super Bowl MVP. The second set of 3, Brady wins the first one against Seattle. He wins it against the Atlanta Falcons. In the second Rams Super Bowl, Edelman wins. The Niners, 4 Super Bowl wins in the 80s. Montana wins 3 MVPs, the first, the second, and the fourth. Jerry Rice wins the third against the Cincinnati Bengals. Terry Bradshaw didn't win either of the first 2 in the 70s for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he won the final 2 against the second Cowboys Super Bowl and against the LA Rams in 79. So there is some historical precedent for the quarterback not winning 3 straight. So Mahomes could throw for 400 yards in the game, in which case he's going to win. It generally goes that it's like the story of the season for a team. So all the defensive players recently that have won Super Bowl MVP, whether it's Dexter Jackson for the Bucs, Ray Lewis for the Ravens, Malcolm Smith for the Seahawks, Von Miller for the Denver Broncos, those units, the defense, have been the story of the season for that team. And I think you can make a case that the story of the season for Kansas City has been the defense. Absolutely. And like Mahomes is the game manager, right? So I'll ask you a question, Jason. I would encourage listeners to ask yourself this question as well. If there were an MVP award given out after the AFC Championship game, so the MVP of the AFC title game with the Chiefs and the Ravens, who do you think would have won it? And maybe I'm putting you on the spot a little without the box score. It's 100% Kelsey.
Yeah.
11 catches, a touchdown on 11 targets for over 100 yards.
6 different defenders. Nobody could stop him.
100% Travis Kelsey. So I'm just saying, Mahomes hasn't had the typical statistical performance this year, where if Kelsey goes 8 for 95 and 2 touchdowns, why can't he win? If Pacheco goes, 21 for 110 and 2 touchdowns, why can't he win?
Right.
Just I'm with you. I don't think it's last year, I felt like it was 1-1. Chiefs beat the Eagles, Mahomes wins Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. Now he can win, just like I think that this would be a year to take a shot, if you like Kansas City, at guys other than Patrick Mahomes.
Love it. And I'm right there with you. I almost got to the window on a Kelsey last week and then talked myself out of it. I'll probably regret that.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
You still got time.
I do, but I'm sure I can't get what I could have got. listen, man, we appreciate you joining us all season and helping us break these games down. Good luck this weekend. Have fun in Vegas. And everybody check out Nick on You Better You Bet.
Awesome. Wishing everybody minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. And Baldy, when he came on with us yesterday, Jason from Radio Row, the show that you did with us, divisional round Sunday after the Saturday games, Niners coach Kyle Shanahan was listening and bristled at my criticism of his conservative decision-making during that game and sent Baldy apparently like an angry text about it, which really made my day and made
there
my
you
week.
Go.
Buddy, I will talk to you on Super Bowl Sunday for Countdown to Kickoff.
Man.
You got it.
Have a good one.
Later.